Hey guys, Olena and Alex here.
Yeah, we're gonna try to make it to Ukraine, and if it's gonna work, we're gonna tell you more about the process of traveling overseas and what documents you need to have if you're gonna make it.
It's our second international trip, and this is the biggest one that we're going to be taking from a flying perspective. And it's going to be pretty cool to see how, we got our COVID test.
Yeah, even two. One is not ready yet. We have vaccination card, and we will see.
Yeah, we have our passport.
How easy it's to go.
We have pretty much every document that we think we need for the trip, and hopefully we get there without any issues. We're gonna make 2 stops. We're going from Houston to Chicago, and then Chicago to Austria, Vienna, and then from there we get to Odessa in Ukraine. We're super hyped.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We'll see you at the airport. We arrived at the George Bush Intercontinental Airport roughly 2.5 hours before our flight. The check-in process for an international flight, despite the pandemic, was surprisingly smooth. We had heard lots of horror stories about other travelers either having the wrong documentation or not enough documentation. Entry into Ukraine requires one of 3 options: a negative PCR test, or proof of a full vaccination from COVID, or proof of full recovery from COVID. We will also need insurance coverage for any COVID-related illnesses. George Bush Intercontinental Airport, in my opinion, is one of the best airports in the US. It has plenty of amenities, and as you can see here with all the food options, you definitely won't go hungry. As I said earlier, the check-in process went really smooth, but just to be on the safe side, we brought both our CDC vaccination cards as well as our negative COVID PCR test results. The agent only asked for our vaccination cards, and once we showed those, we were good to go. For whatever reason, security was really light that day, so we ended up with plenty of time to spare before our flight. We ended up spending our extra time in the United Lounge. Compared to typical United lounges, the one in Houston was a lot nicer and much more spacious. It also had a larger selection of foods, both hot and cold. So we just got into the United Lounge. Compared to in the past that I've always been into the lounges, and they've always been really horrible, and this one's like a lot better now. Yeah, hot foods, yogurt, chobani,
Coffee, even like cappuccino and latte.
Cheese plate. Pretty impressive. Anyways, we have about 3 hours to wait, 2.5 hours, and then we'll get on a plane. So anyways, this is the beginning of our first leg, and we'll see you on the plane. We're now ready to board our flight, and all we need to show is our boarding pass. I've started to notice that United has really stepped up their game when it comes to their planes. Their in-seat entertainment system has been greatly improved. The touchscreen is a lot larger and brighter and is much more responsive to the touch. Chicago soon. Supposedly in Chicago, you have to go from one terminal to the terminal we arrived in. We have to transfer on a bus to the international terminal. We're not sure how long it'll take, but I'm going to time it. and I'll let you guys know what the process is. And yeah, it looks like the plane is pretty empty. Our seats are pretty empty. Hopefully there's not too many people on this plane and we have like a whole row to ourselves.
Yeah, let's see how long it's taking Chicago to get from our terminal to next terminal.
Alright.
See you in Chicago.
See you. Now we gotta find the shuttle bus that goes from Terminal 1 to Terminal 2, which is the international terminals.
Yeah, just take into consideration so to get out of the plane takes about 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I set a timer to see how long it would actually take us to get there. We had I had to change our flights because before we had an hour and a half connection, and I thought that would have been too close, so now our connection time is about 3.5 hours. So we got plenty of time, but yeah, we'll take you along the way and show you what it's like to get on the shuttle bus. All right, see you in a second. Depending on which terminal you arrive at, you'll more than likely need to head over to terminal number 5, which is where most international departures are from. The best thing to do is to consult with information on directions to the shuttle buses that take you over to terminal number 5. In our case, the shuttle buses were located just outside the departures area on level 2. This is our guide. He told us to take the shuttle over to terminal 5.
It'll be well taken care of.
All right, thanks. Once you arrive at terminal number 5, you'll need to go through security again to get to your gates. Once again, for whatever reason, security was really light. It took us right around 46 minutes from the time our last plane landed to get over to the international terminal number 5 and into the Swiss Air Lounge. 46 minutes, in my opinion, is the best case scenario. I would give yourself a minimum of at least a 2-hour window just to be safe. The last 2 legs of our journey to Ukraine were on Austrian Airways. Prior to boarding, the only 2 documents that they checked were our boarding passes and passports. There were also CBP officers present checking passengers before boarding the plane. Our second leg.
Yeah, we find out that our flight not 11 hours, it's only 9. Good news.
Oh yeah. So this is our Chicago to Vienna. And then we have one more hour and 50 minutes from Vienna to Odessa. So kind of hyped. The airplane's a little small, the seats are small, but you know, we're gonna get there. To Vienna.
It was 8 hours flight, but feel like 28 hours flight.
Yeah, we were surrounded by kids that were just ridiculously annoying, crying, screaming, and we're next to one right now again. But what do you think of the Austrian Airlines?
It's okay.
I didn't really like it very much. Seats were uncomfortable. The food wasn't very good, and I had a muffin that tasted like bread.
Like sandwich bread, not sweet bread.
But we're here at the airport now, waiting for our next flight. We just got to figure out when the next gate is, where the gate is going to be. We have about a 2.5 hour wait, and then we're off to Odessa.
Yeah, we meet you in Odessa, and we update you on the process going to Ukraine a little bit later. See you.
Once we arrived in Odessa, we were taken by shuttle bus over to the main arrival hall. Once inside the arrivals hall, you'll be directed over to immigration, where lines are separated into 2 different categories. One for Ukrainian citizens and another for all other foreigners. We had no issues getting through immigration as we had all our documents in order both physically and electronically. Though I did notice some others having issues getting through. All in all, post-pandemic international travel isn't really that bad at all. Just be sure to do your due diligence on entry requirements for the location that you're traveling to.